Brother, may I have some oats?
No.
I am starving, brother.
As am I, brother. The tall, skinny figure has thrown the oats at me. Me, brother.
I need to understand why this is a Warhammer meme. As always, make sure to follow my social media accounts at It's Lilers on Instagram, Threads, and X, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at It's Lilers. And also do not forget to follow me on TikTok at Lilers. Lilers on TikTok. Okay, so this week, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a short episode, not so much. So this week we're going to be talking about the drama that's been going on between Nikki, formerly Bella, now Garcia, and her husband Artem. We're also going to be talking about Sonic 3, Jurassic World, and then the countdown that we've been anticipating with Linkin Park, and of course the results on WWE Bash in Berlin. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this episode started. Since technically speaking, this is like wrestling news, I'm actually kicking off the episode with the drama between Nikki Garcia and her husband Artem, because it is an issue that does need to be addressed. We've talked about this in previous episodes, but because it is currently happening, I'm like, hey, why not? So it was revealed by TMZ and a bunch of other news outlets that Artem, I cannot pronounce his last name, so I'm just gonna say that, has been arrested for domestic violence. And so not a lot of details were said, and everybody started assuming the worst because of course he is married to Nikki Garcia. And so the first thing that people assumed was he abusing or getting violent towards Nikki? And afterwards, as time went by, TMZ, for example, are like, okay, let's go ahead and try to get the 911 call. And on there, you hear Artem was the one that initiated the call, saying that he needed medical assistance and that supposedly Nikki was the one throwing shoes at him. And so later on, he called 911 again, saying, no, cancel it. Like, they don't need assistance anymore. But it is protocol, apparently in Napa County, that's where they're currently residing, that they still have to do a welfare check just to make sure everything was still good. And the moment the cops went in, the first thing they noticed is that Nikki was showing visible injuries. And that led to an automatic arrest towards Artem. With that being said, I understand that Nikki Garcia was the one that said, oh, it's a privacy matter, they're trying to handle it, this and that. But homegirl has been trying to make herself popular or, famous, still continue to be relevant now that she's no longer in WWE, that it's no longer a privacy matter. And the thing is that it is a domestic abuse, violence topic that it needs to be said. The Bella twins or the Garcia twins, however you guys want to call them, are known to have like women empowerment. And because this topic empowers women to speak up, for Nikki's sake, she should have said something. I get it, it is personal life, but you know what? Fuck it, let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm trying to be biased in this whole situation. I'm trying to see both sides. Like, why in the hell was Artem being violent towards Nikki? And why was she attacking him with a shoe? Obviously, the first thing that comes in mind is, oh, self-defense. Okay, but what is the self-defense about? Like, what the fuck? What initiated this argument? Because other people are also pulling the receipts, of course, that Nikki literally not too long ago was talking all sweet about Artem, how they were already celebrating their 2-year anniversary. And she had not shown signs that, she's in a struggling relationship. So people are assuming as well that, oh, maybe it's because Artem is not casted for the next season in Dancing with the Stars. And he's throwing his frustrations towards Nikki. And I get it, when it comes to career-wise, I'm praying and hoping this is not the situation. Maybe Artem feels like Nikki's more successful than him. And I feel like women can get very intimidating with that situation where the woman is more successful than the man. And I don't know, again, if that was the case. maybe he was being frustrated over that. However, it was also revealed that there's a possibility their 4-year-old was present during all of that. So shit's gonna hit the fan, meaning that maybe Artem is gonna lose custody, who knows? And then there's other reports saying that Nikki Garcia already ditched the wedding ring after the whole news came out about the domestic violence issue. The other part that kind of frustrated me a little bit is that people were saying, quote, John Cena would never. And at the same time, I'm like, yeah, sure, John Cena would never, but John Cena's over there being happy with his now wife. So yeah, John Cena would never settle down with Nikki Bella at the moment, or who knows. At the same time, I highly doubt that's even a possibility, given the fact that he just doesn't want to have kids or to even take care of a kid that's not his. He's more focused on his career, and he already knows, he has explained the reason why he doesn't want to have kids is because he's going to be like an absentee parent, because again, he's focused on his career. So I'm like, yeah, no, keep John Cena's name out of y'all's mouth. If anything, I'm like, whatever happened to Dolph Ziggler? If you guys didn't watch Total Bellas, he was over there expressing his feelings towards Nikki, and Nikki was like, no, like, I'm with John, this, and that. So basically, like, Dolph Ziggler was like, I could give you what you want, like marriage and kids, but she was like, no. The other thing a lot of people also noticed was that Bryan Danielson actually unfollowed Artem on social media. Obviously, we know we care about a man who respects their wives and everything. So maybe the situation is that Nikki already told Brie, because of course they're twins, they tell each other everything. But Brie told Bryan, and Bryan probably lost respect towards Artem. So it can only mean that maybe, yeah, Artem was the one that was in the wrong. Maybe needs to work on his anger and potentially, you know, try to fix the relationship, because again, there's a kid involved. So I don't know. Me personally, it sucks to hear that this situation happened to them, because I really thought, you know, they were going to be endgame. And yes, I follow the relationship between Nikki and John. And at the same time, I was like, really? Like, no. I was not a fan of it for the same reason that I believe people should never settle for less. And homegirl's over there talking about how she wants to get married, have kids. He wanted to give her marriage, but then she was like, no, because of the whole kid thing. And then she backed out. And so I'm over here like, you wasted your life for this man. But again, it's a learning lesson. And when she found Artem, I'm like, okay, maybe there are endgame. And then look at John. He's married to his wife. And he also mentioned there's an interview out there that he did recently about the topic, where he did tell his now wife the whole situation about, you know, kids. And she's okay with it. So I'm like, hey, if she's okay with it, all right, by all means, you know. And John knows what he wants, and people shouldn't even judge him for him. There's a lot of people out there that just don't want to have kids, and that's okay. You know, we shouldn't be all pissy about it. And people are like saying, oh, but he's a good wrestler. He's so good with kids. And I'm like, yeah, because that's his job. So yeah, but I'm getting sidetracked. This whole situation, again, I feel like Nikki does have to talk about it, because again, her fans are all about women empowerment. And this topic is very serious. So who knows eventually, because again, it's up to them, because it's a private matter. But that's my 2 cents on that. And since we're already talking about the topic, I do have to say this, and I'll try my best to promote it as much as I can, not just domestic violence, but other topics as well. But if you or someone you know is affected by anything related to domestic violence, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE, which is also 7233. Again, that number is 1-800-799-7233, or text START to 88788. And remember, never settle for less, and also know your worth. All right, now with that being said, let's go ahead and kick off with the movies category, and let's talk about Sonic 3. So Paramount released the trailer for this movie, and before they did so, they wanted to hype the release of it. So what they did is they put promotional projectors of characters like Sonic, Shadow, and Eggman across the world. But it was mostly like in well-known places like New York, Seattle, even Sydney, Australia. they got to see it. Like here in Houston, I don't think there was one. But each character had the number 3 underneath it, while some teased the trailers release the next day, which at the time it just said tomorrow. And when I watched the trailer, all I gotta say is that Keanu Reeves as Shadow is breathtaking. We learn about Shadow's background and why his language is basically destroyed. And I can't help but the fact that Knuckles was even shocked to see the speed of Shadow. Like 1 minute he's like on one side, and the next minute he's like right in front of you twisting your wrist. It's like, wow. And it got to the point where Shadow was so strong that not even Knuckles, Sonic, Tails are able to defeat him, to where Sonic needed to go up to Eggman for his help. I'm like, what the fuck? And of course, Jim Carrey is still being the icon he is. One person in the comment section literally said, Jim Carrey until you're 90. And I'm like, that makes sense, because Jim Carrey is very wholesome. Protect him at all costs. Other people were also asking and wondering if we're going to see Shadow holding like a machine gun like we did in the cartoons. So who knows? Definitely go check out this trailer. That way you get an idea of what's gonna happen. And the movie is set to release this coming December. So I can't wait. I'm definitely gonna watch it. The next thing we need to talk about is Jurassic World Rebirth. So apparently the franchise released some new images of that upcoming movie. And we get to see 3 actors that are going to be on there. One of them is going to be Jonathan Bailey, who is going to be playing Dr. Henry Loomis. And I'm like, for a split second when I heard of it, I'm like, where have I heard of the last name before? And I actually went everywhere across Jurassic World websites to see why is this name so familiar. And there was no connection to previous movies. And then now that I'm talking it out loud, I realized where I heard the last name from, and it's a whole different franchise. I'm talking Halloween. But anywho, Dr. Henry Loomis is going to be a paleontologist in this franchise. And then on the picture right next to him, we see Scarlett Johansson, who's going to be playing Zora Bennett, who is going to be a covert operations expert. And then on the next slide, we see Marshala Ali, who is going to be playing Duncan Kincaid, who is also a covert operations team leader and a friend of Zora Bennett. So I checked on IMDb, and they say that this movie is 5 years post Jurassic World Dominion. An expedition braves isolated equatorial regions to extract DNA from 3 massive prehistoric creatures for a groundbreaking medical breakthrough, I guess. And this movie is set to release on July 2025. I think I mentioned it before, whenever the rumors were saying that Scarlett Johansson was going to be in the next Jurassic World movie. I was like, why? You know, like, I didn't get why. And it says it's 5 years post, so I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan of the Jurassic World franchise, so I'll give it a shot. I highly doubt it's going to do so well. It's just another dinosaur movie if you think about it. So yeah, let's just wait until that day comes, and we'll probably do a movie review for it. In other news, it looks like Gambit is making a name for himself. So Ryan Reynolds shared an unreleased clip on social media where, if you haven't watched the movie, probably skip the next minute or so, but go watch it, because what the hell. But the clip basically confirms that Gambit survived the battle, and while he's walking away from the camera, you see like a little light in the back, and he turns around, and all you see is like the, you know, the portal where Doctor Strange uses to move from one place to another. Like, it's flashing on Gambit's eyes, and we can only assume that Gambit may finally get a solo movie. Channing Tatum actually replied on the post and said, quote, "Let the good times roll," in both French and English, but then also including Cher on the English part. If I could turn back time. All I'm saying is release the Sean Levy cut, because if there are some scenes that were not on the theatrical release, we need to have it whenever we get maybe the home release, who knows, but I want to see it. And if anything, this should have been at the end credits, because that would have been like, hell yeah, everybody fell in love with Gambit, just so y'all know. But anywho, let's go ahead and move it along. Horror fans, this one's for you. We're getting Terrifier 3. I saw the trailer through Chris Jericho's social media, and he is also going to be on the film. Now, I'm not sure what the plot will be about since I have not seen any of the movies, but I will admit, Art the Clown is a true horror icon, and he belongs with the rest of the other horror icons that we know and love. But I also can't believe that Terrifier 2 did so much better in both reviews and in the box office than the first movie. I will watch the 2 movies before the release of the 3rd movie, which by the way, that will be until October 11th. Perfect for spooky season. But the first 2 movies are actually available on Peacock. I wanted to just watch the first one and make my way towards the second one. At the same time, I kind of have no patience on it because, yeah, how I mentioned, the first one did so bad apparently, and everybody loves the second one because of the memes and all of that. But no, I do have to watch both of them, so that way I could potentially understand the 3rd one. The trailer is available for you guys to go check it out. When I saw it, I was like, is this like some kind of Christmas theme or something? Because Art was dressed as Santa Claus and it looks like he's gonna kill people like he always does. I still don't understand the plot. That's why I'm so lost. So I can't really explain the trailer. But I did see Chris Jericho on there, like as a doctor or something. So I'm like, oh yeah, no, I definitely need to check it out. And maybe, who knows, we'll probably do a horror movie review for that too. So stay tuned. Anywho, let's go ahead and move it along. Now, another topic that involves wrestling, but not really. Netflix announced that they will be releasing a docu-series about Vince McMahon's rise and fall. So this series is planned to be released on December 25th, and it will pull back the curtain to reveal the true Vince McMahon, obscured beneath the persona he presented to the world. In other words, think of it like the dark side of the ring, except they're talking about Vince McMahon, and I'm trying to understand how Netflix managed to get like approval to make this docuseries. I don't know, but either way, I'm ready to watch it now that I have Netflix for free. Like, I'm really looking forward to see if Netflix are actually gonna throw facts about Vince McMahon and not defend him, because in my personal opinion, or maybe everybody's personal opinion that's a WWE fan, probably thinks Vince McMahon is a piece of shit. So I want to see if Netflix is really going to drag his name down and then we're going to see him differently. But at the same time, I'm also hoping that it doesn't give WWE now a bad look, because again, Vince McMahon has no ownership of WWE, but at the same time, Papa H has been making the company strive. Like, we're gonna be talking about Bash in Berlin in a bit, but ever since, Vince McMahon stepped down, WWE has been doing really well. So I'm really happy how everything's been going. At the same time, I'm kind of concerned how Netflix is gonna strain the company, or just Vince McMahon. So we'll see. Another thing I also wanted to talk about, and this is an interesting idea I found online. Cultaholic posted on X that since there isn't going to be a Hulk Hogan biopic, maybe there should be an Eddie Guerrero biopic and have Pedro Pascal casted as Eddie. I swear I will cry so much and it will be worth it. You can actually see on a different perspective of Eddie Guerrero of how he overcame addiction, but however that still led him to have the condition that he had with a heart attack that caused him his life. So like, actions have consequences. So it's a really good story. And again, Eddie did leave a great legacy, of course. Everybody mourned him. To this day, people still honor him. So it should be a really great thing to do. However, I don't know if either Netflix or who do they need to be asking permission for this to happen? Also, if Pedro Pascal were to be the one that will play Eddie, he will have to like bulk up. And I swear that Pedro Pascal edits are gonna go nuts, especially like the people that make the edits. Oh my god. So yeah, it's a win-win for all of us. Honestly, somebody has to make it happen. That's all I gotta say about that. Anywho, in other news, Sigourney Weaver confirms that she will be making her Star Wars debut in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I am wondering what character is she gonna play, but I'm glad that we know that she's gonna be a part of the movie. Some of y'all may know her in the Aliens franchise, and others may know her in Avatar. So you may already know she's a great actress, so let's see what she's gonna bring in this movie. The other thing I also wanted to mention, I briefly talked about it whenever we were talking about Inside Out, and when they entered the number 10 spot for the highest grossing films in the box office. And I was talking about, I'm hoping they knock over Lion King, because I still don't understand how a lot of people watch this movie. Yes, I watched it, but it was just at one time. And it was the same thing. It was basically animated to live action. What's new, you know? But my wishes came true. And Inside Out is now the number 9 highest grossing films in the box office, knocking down Lion King. So now we just gotta wait what other movie that's gonna be doing so well gonna knock down Lion King from the 10th spot. Yeah, guys, I was not a fan of this movie, especially when it was just a remake. Anywho, the last thing I wanted to talk about in the movies category is that next week, just so you guys know, I will be talking about Beetlejuice movie. And to top it off, Tim Burton says that he probably won't make a third movie because he'll be 100 if they go with the same time frame as this one. However, I think it should be ending with a third movie, because if you say his name 3 times, he's gone. It makes perfect sense. All I gotta say about that. But yeah, next week we're gonna talk about it. IGN actually rated this movie a 7 out of 10. So let's see if this review is agreeable or disagreeable. Same thing with the Rotten Tomato score and the audience score. But anywho, that wraps up what I have for you guys on the movies category. I can't even go on television. We have to skip until music. What? Yeah, I went through social media like crazy to see if there was anything news related on television. There was nothing. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, oh well, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and talk about Linkin Park. I'm over here wondering if they were playing with our emotions. So I didn't get to mention this, but back on August 24th, they posted on their social media like this countdown set at 100 hours. And everybody assumed that the band was coming out of hiatus with a new lead singer. But then the timer reached 00, literally at the 0 countdown, only for it to glitch out while teasing a 9-minute, 5-second reference. But people were assuming, oh wait, September 5th. And then the timer started counting back up. Later on, the band posted on social media, quote, "Be part of something. September 5th, linkinpark.com. Look guys, I'm gonna be really honest. I don't know if I mentioned it in the past, but fuck it, why not? So I feel like ever since Chester Bennington's passing, when the band did say they were gonna go into an indefinite hiatus, I thought, yeah, it's the most respectful way to honor Chester. But now other people who say that are Linkin Park fans, I'm not saying like, yeah, I'm a fan, but I'm not like that diehard fan. People are saying, oh, this is not what Chester wants. Chester wants the band to move on without him, this and that. How the fuck do they know? You know, like, did he leave a will or something? Say no for the band to continue on? I don't know. Either way, personally, I just wish they could just make a whole different band. If they want to continue, you know, performing Linkin Park songs, sure, they should. I mean, they made it. Why just leave it in a vault and continue making new music? However, if they were to bring in a new lead singer, I have heard not only the one female singer that we talked about like a while ago, there were other singers too that kind of matches Chester's voice. But at the same time, you know, we get it. Not every voice is always similar. I still don't think it's right to continue Linkin Park replacing Chester Bennington. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, other people are saying differently. At the end of the day, we're all just assuming. We don't have any confirmations if they're going to continue the band. Stay tuned until September 5th, and we're possibly going to be talking about it next week. Now, let's go ahead and move it along. If you didn't know what's been going on with Sleep Token, their bassist 3 had a family emergency that led him to miss, I don't know if it was a few shows or one show in particular. However, somebody posted on TikTok a video of an emotional vessel singing while also holding up 3 fingers up. Then everybody in the crowd also joined in holding 3 fingers up, and I'm like, what is going on? I did see the comment section of that particular video. The fan did say that everything is fine and 3 is back performing with the band. The only reason why I'm mentioning it is that I love not only to see the fans, you know, showing a little tribute for the band member, but the lead singer. I'm like, damn, the connection, the bond between these members. Like, we have grown so much from toxic band members to where they're leaving the bands and the music's not the same, to actually forming a band based on, you know, again, mutual respect and appreciation towards one another. And the way how Vessel was during the performance, it's like he was thinking of his fellow band member while trying to put up a show for the fans. So yeah, definitely check out the video if you guys are Sleep Token fans. But I was like, let me just go ahead and talk about that. And now let's go ahead and move along with something that I love to talk about, and that is Alex Terrible. So Full Send MMA is teasing that Alex Terrible might make his bare knuckle fight debut in December. And then Alex posted on his Instagram story literally yesterday. I think the story is about to expire, and by the time you guys are listening to this, it's already gone. But he said that his planned opponent, who happens to be Bryce Hall, never heard of him by the way, might have backed down on a deal, and instead they're saying that Alex might potentially compete with Kimbo Slice Jr. Now, if you guys do not know who Kimbo Slice is, he's like the most famous, well-known MMA fighter who became a boxer. Unfortunately passed away back in 2016. His son is currently an MMA fighter, and I think he's also doing bare knuckle. And when Alex was talking about it on his story, my boy had like this big ass grinning face, like he was like a kid. It was so freaking adorable. But still, he's just more excited to be making a debut with an actual fighter. So I can't wait to see it if it does happen. I mean, my boy has been training while he's on tour, so the dedication is out there. And the more I keep seeing these videos of Alex, it's like, I feel like as a fan, I'm so proud of him. I think everybody is, because he has come a long way. And every post that he does is like motivation for everybody else to follow their dreams. That's why I'm like, that's why I listen to Slaughter to Prevail, okay? Not just for Alex, but for everybody else, because I'm pretty sure they're living their dreams. And speaking of Slaughter to Prevail, Alex also posted on social media that the band is actually going to be part of the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival that's gonna be at Worcester, Massachusetts. So this festival is gonna be taking place on September 21st, 22nd of this year, literally a couple of days after they wrap up their tour with Marilyn Manson and Five Finger Death Punch. So like, they're really like going like crazy. The big headliner happens to be Killswitch Engage. Alongside with them too, they're also going to be joined by Suicidal Tendency, Machine Head, Coverage, Bane, As I Lay Dying, Nails, Terror, Overkill, After the Burial, Suicide Silence, and so many other bands more. If you guys are planning to attend, the event will be held at the Palladium Outdoors, and tickets are now on sale. And that wraps up what I have for you guys in the music category. Now let's talk about gaming. So GameStop announced they will be selling retro games and consoles. I thought they already did so, but anywho, they announced a new platform called GameStop Retro, which will feature stock ranging from Nintendo Game Boy to Sega Genesis, all until Xbox and PlayStation 3. Now, I don't know what this announcement will do to this particular gaming store that exists here in Houston, but I'm actually looking at their website, and not only do they exist here, they also exist in San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, all until Seattle, Washington, and Tacoma, Washington. The store is called Game Over Video Games. Not sponsored, by the way. I'm just, talking about them. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but over there they sell a bunch of retro games, and they literally go from Atari too. I've seen it. They do have like a great selection of antique gaming. And my thing is that now that this announcement for GameStop Retro, would that potentially put Game Over Video Games out of business? Because again, GameStop is basically open in so many locations. And then Game Over Video Games is only open to 5 different locations. So yeah, that's probably going to be one little bummer. But if you guys are like either in Texas or in Washington, definitely go check out the store if you guys are into retro gaming. And let's see how that's gonna go with GameStop. I know they're trying to find other ways to stay in business for the same reason that now that we're in the digital era, a lot of people are downloading their games digitally. And even then, like, GameStop is more like accessories now. Like, they sell Funko Pops, they sell shirts, they sell a lot of merch aside from video games. So they're trying to find ways to still stay in business. So yeah. And the last thing I wanted to talk about in gaming's category, I know it's like not a lot of things are happening this week, but still. So I did not know there was a power wash simulator. I've seen so many other simulator games, and I was not expecting a power wash one. So Nintendo Direct even announced that the game will be adding Shrek Swamp for players to wash. And I went to the comment section of the post that I saw on IGN. That fans are like over there saying that they shouldn't even mess with the swamp, but others are saying that like just washing the swamp will make the game even better. I don't know about y'all, but if you guys are Shrek fans, hell, if you like any other simulator games, definitely go check out this game. And that wraps up everything I have for the gaming's category. Let's talk about wrestling. We do have a lot though, so let's go ahead and kick it off. Bobby Lashley, for instance, shared on social media that he is now a Texan. What is up with everybody moving to Texas? Literally, we have Drake, homeboy already opened his luxurious restaurant. I'm over here like, and then everybody else like in Houston are over there saying like, oh, Houston is cool, and yet they're over here being all rude and shit, kicking out literally Houstonians that were born and raised here that hate Houston. And they're like, well, get out, you know, if you don't like it. I'm like, damn, okay. But anywho, Bobby Lashley comes in on the video like in a sports car, regular outfit, whatever, saying, oh yeah, like I'm now a Texan. And then he switches up to a big ass truck and in a cowboy outfit. I'm like, really? The stereotype. But still, whenever I see the clip, it looks like he's probably referencing that he lives in Dallas now, because that skyline was definitely not Houston. So I'm like, I guess. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. And then AEW actually announced that they're still going to have an all-out pay-per-view. So it's like 2 different ones. First, we already had All In last week. All Out is going to be this coming Saturday. And we already have some interesting matches already booked. Like, for example, we have Hangman versus Swerve Strickland. And I'm over here like, what about the rematch? But I guess not. Aside from that one, we're also going to be having Will Ospreay versus Pac for the International Championship. Now that name is back, thank God. But it looked like Will was actually trying to steer like a storyline with Ricochet now that he's officially in AEW. And this past Wednesday, he comes out and tries to talk to Ricochet. But all of a sudden, he's over there getting attacked by Pac. And I'm like, oh, okay. To be continued, but that is something I'm pretty sure Ricochet has his eye on. And speaking of AEW All Out, they actually released the remaining pay-per-view schedules for this year. I can't believe the year is almost over, sweet Jesus. So as I mentioned, All Out is going to be this coming Saturday, September 7th. And then after that, we're going to have Wrestle Dream schedule on Saturday, October the 12th, which will be at Tacoma, Washington. Then after that, for the next month, Full Gear is scheduled to be on Saturday, November 23rd at Newark, New Jersey. And then to end the year, they're going to finish off with World's End on Saturday, December 28th in Orlando, Florida. So that's all for the pay-per-views. I'm pretty sure we still have more pay-per-views for WWE, but I'm thinking it's not going to be 4. Like, we're probably going to have Bad Blood from what we announced not too long ago. Crown Jewel, I remember they say it was going to be on November 2nd. And Survivor Series, we cannot forget about that. But Survivor Series, I think I saw it was going to be at the end of November. So what's left after that? And that does not include the NXT pay-per-views. Like right now we're having No Mercy, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. But before I get ahead of myself, I don't know if you guys also know this, but CMLL posted on social media that one of their upcoming matches on September 13, they're still going to collaborate with AEW, and Orange Cassidy will be one of the guests. So it's going to be Volador Jr., Atlantis Jr., Último Guerrero versus Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, and Kijoma. See, sometimes I wish CMLL has like a live broadcasting where we can actually tune in and watch. I think they do. I just haven't like done the research for it. Like for example, like AAA Lucha Libre, they have the streaming service on Twitch. So I'm like, come on CMLL, take notes. But yeah, stay tuned for that one just in case if they do broadcast it, because it is Aniversario CMLL. So hopefully it might be broadcasting anywhere. And I highly doubt I have any Mexican listeners, but if you are listening and are interested in attending, tickets are now on sale on ticketmaster.com.mx. Alright, now let's go ahead and dive into some WWE topics. Like for example, what is up with Bronson Reed's storyline? My boy has been committing murder. First it was Seth Rollins, then R-Truth, and now Braun Strowman. Like them two beefy men, and literally one beefy man killing the other beefy man. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is the end goal for this? I feel like, yes, eventually Bronson Reed is gonna have to go up with a champion. And I found out through yesterday's PLE at Bash in Berlin that Bronson Reed is also going to be participating in the tournament to name the #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. So I don't know if this is like some kind of momentum, some strategy to make sure that Bronson Reed is going to be the #1 contender. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a possibility. There are other people that are going to be in the tournament, and I'm over here waiting to see who's going to win. And Jey Uso, for example, he's on there. But at the same time, I'm like, when is my boy going to have gold around his waist? I get it. We've been talking about the whole bloodline storyline. But at the same time, I'm growing impatient because Jade deserves gold. But anywho, that was that. And then I need to talk about No Mercy. So it's happening right now in the background. That's how late I am when we're recording this episode. But still, it's Labor Day weekend. Anywho, so No Mercy added a few matches. One of them I did predict last week. Wesley versus Zachary wins. Here's my theory. So I feel like Wesley has to win this one. Because if Wesley were to win the match, he gets to maintain himself as a heel. But then again, if he does win, that can also mean that the Rascals, Zachary Wentz and his teammate, are gonna head back to TNA. And it's kind of a bummer, but I'm hoping that the reason why they're all doing that whole storyline is for Wes to redeem himself, even as a heel, but he can actually handle doing his things on his own without the help of Zachary Wentz. So who knows what's gonna happen. Again, No Mercy is already playing in the background, but the match still hasn't happened, so there's that. The other announcement that was made during NXT on Tuesday was that Trick Williams will be the guest referee for the match with Ethan Page and Joe Hendry for the NXT Championship. Honestly, I am rooting for Joe to win, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Also, tell me why people are saying that Trick is gonna turn heel and he's gonna betray Joe Hendry. Like no. I'm like, what did he do to you? Either way, I cannot wait to see what's gonna happen, and we're gonna talk about the results next week's episode. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about what happened during yesterday's Bash in Berlin. So the first match was so not interesting. It was fucking boring. And I think I already said last week, I could care less who wins, even though we kind of already knew who was going to win. Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Undisputed Championship. I won't lie, I saw the promo on Friday and I thought Kevin was going to turn on Cody and then potentially we were going to get heel Kevin Owens. But it didn't happen. It was just mostly like respect, saying, okay, we're gonna have a fair match, yada, yada, yada. Also, Kevin Owens did mention that Friday was apparently the 7-year anniversary of when he won the WWE Universal Championship. And I was like, 7 years? And the only reason why I say that was because I was actually there when it happened. Yeah, I was physically there. So the first time I ever watched a live WWE program was when Kevin Owens won the Universal Championship. And he actually even mentioned, oh yeah, like they didn't take him serious because Triple H was the one that kind of helped him get the championship. And I remember seeing that. I was like, what the hell is Papa H doing here? Like, oh my god. I don't know. I feel like Kevin Owens as a heel had the momentum. Now that he's babyface, it's like, what happened, you know? And so during the match at Bash in Berlin, it was so boring. Like, I could care less. I wasn't into the match. It's like two good people fighting. And my dad even pointed out that he would rather see two villains, like two heels, going up against each other. Now, that would have been interesting. But yeah, and when it's two baby faces just fighting, it's boring. So I'm not going to bury you with the details. And Cody Rhodes did win the match. I thought, including everybody else, we all thought that Kevin was finally going to turn on Cody, but it still didn't happen. So I'm like, okay, what's next for Cody? Who knows? I thought, you know, it was going to be Bloodline all over again, but they settled that score, and Roman Reigns is still, you know, trying to stir up something with them. But for Cody to have a next opponent that's actually worth watching, it's going to take a while. That's all I gotta say about that, so let's go ahead and move it along. The next match was Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill going up against the Unholy Union, which, by the way, Samantha Irvin still announces them as Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, so I'm like, so what's the point of y'all giving them a tag team name? Which, by the way, I was thinking about it while the match was still occurring. I think tag team names are now just overrated. Like, what's the point now? It's always two different people that were individual wrestlers just grouped together and then they form a tag team. So it's like, what's the point? Unless, like, yeah, like the Hardy Boys, we get it. That was a good one. And the Dudley Boys because of the last names. But other than that, I don't know. Either way, this match was kind of meh. If I were to rate it out of 5, maybe a 2.5 out of 5 because it was just not interesting. I was surprised though when it comes to the results, because how Alba and Isla won the tag team titles is because they were in their home country. However, there was a possibility I thought they could have won only because they were still technically in Europe. And maybe Deutschland were to be rooting for people that are closer to home and not overseas. However, Bianca and Jade are still good opponents. I mean, you guys already seen them. And I was like, yeah, it will make sense for them to get the tag team titles back. I am still wondering though. This is a possibility now that they're tag team champions, Bianca and Jade, by the way. I feel like eventually Bianca might potentially turn on Jade. I don't know why I have that feeling, but if it does happen, I told you so. I feel like Bianca eventually is gonna miss being an individual and compete for, you know, championships and all of that, but being a tag team champion is just gonna hold her back. And if that were to happen, Bianca versus Jade is gonna feed families for months. So yeah, stay tuned if that ever does happen. But yeah, congrats to Bianca and Jade for becoming tag team champions once again. Anywho, let's go ahead and move it along with the next match. I think I already mentioned my 2 cents between CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a strap match. But I was thinking, and I want to say again, I was rooting for CM Punk, and I feel like there is going to be this pattern that's never going to end. I don't know what is the whole plan between these two, but my prediction was correct. They were literally fighting over that damn bracelet. And yes, CM Punk did defeat Drew McIntyre, which I guess I didn't watch that one. I was busy doing errands and whatnot, so I was like, what's the point? I think I already know that pattern. However, CM Punk did mention during the press conference that he is done with Drew McIntyre, but I think we all know that's probably not gonna happen, and Drew McIntyre is still gonna obsess over CM Punk, which might lead to another match. So yeah, anywho, moving along. The next one, and it was actually my favorite out of the whole freaking PLE. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus Dirty, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan in a mixed tag team match. I freaking love how Rhea was just beating the crap out of Dominic Mysterio. And as predicted, the Judgment Day did interfere, but that did not stop the Terror Twins. I think everybody can agree that this match was very satisfying to watch, especially too when Rhea gave Liv Morgan the riptide and then pinning her, which what she calls the pretzel. I was like, sweet Jesus, is so, I'm just gonna say naughty. Here's the other thing. I'm still waiting to see when Damian and Ben are gonna clash and then ending that whole feud. However, I talked about Survivor Series just now. What if, potentially speaking, the next like War Games will be the Judgment Day versus whoever is gonna be in Team Damian? But who would join Damian? Like other people that have been beefing with the Judgment Day? I don't know. Maybe Jey Uso will finally join them. And then the only way for that to happen is if they push the Bloodline War Games for next year. But then again, a whole year with that storyline, I don't know. Those are my thoughts for that one. But either way, I'm glad that the Terrorwinds won this match. It was so beautiful. Anywho, and then the last match, which again, they didn't have that many matches for this PLE. But the main event was Gunther versus Randy Orton. We already know who won on that one. It has been said, especially the fact that Gunther actually knows German. I was not expecting it because the last time I checked, it said that he was Austrian. Here's a funny thing that you may have not noticed. I know Randy Orton has mentioned that either he's trying to lose or gain weight. I don't remember what. But Samantha Irvin still has not gotten his updated weight right. And when Randy was walking towards the ring, I can hear Michael Cole on commentary saying that Randy now weighs like 183. So they're like, oh, let's see if Samantha will get it right. And she's over there saying, weighing in at 191 pounds. And you see Randy in the back just smiling like, really? You still didn't get it right. But I also can't help but to notice my boy, that belly is sticking out. It's like he has a belly with abs. And I'm like, what is going on over here? I don't know if it's because of the age or again, I don't know if he's trying to lose or gain weight. Who knows? But he still looks good. Of course, we already knew that Gunther won. Even better, once the match was over, Gunther still shook Randy's hand, like as a sign of respect, and the whole crowd was like, yay, you know. And Randy left. Gunther still ended up giving a German speech to the crowd. I don't know the full translation for it, but I'm assuming he was thanking the crowd because all I heard was Danken schon, and I'm like, I know what that means, you know. Especially whenever the crowd was over there counting in, 1, 2, 3, they were saying eins, zwei, drei. And I was like, oh, thank God I take my Duolingo lessons to learn German. And since we're talking about the crowd, comparison-wise, I would say they were like second loudest compared to Perth and France. Because whenever the Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest versus Dominic and Liv Morgan match was happening, the part where Rhea was literally like manhandling Dominic, the whole crowd was getting so fucking loud. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. And then especially during the match with Gunther and Randy Orton. So lots of German pride on there, and I loved it. So I'm hoping that, WWE does go back. And I don't know if they're going to do another Bash in Berlin, but definitely they should do another PLE over there. Whether if it's even in Munich, for example, that should be the next stop. That would be great. And right before I was about to wrap up this week's episode, I'm already getting the updated results of No Mercy. So far, I did miss the NXT Tag Team Champions match between Chase U and Nathium and Axiom. So Nathan Fraser and Axiom got the tag team titles back, and Ridge Holland just betrayed Andre Chase, and well, I mean, it was bound to happen. And then the other match, which we just talked about, was Wesley versus Zachary Wentz. And literally with the help of Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz ended up winning. So I'm like, what does this mean? Are they still gonna be in NXT or are they heading to TNA? Who freaking knows? But yeah, now I can say this. That actually wraps up this week's episode. Decent time as always. Make sure to follow my social media accounts at It's Lylers on Instagram, Threads, and X, and subscribe to the YouTube channel at It's Lylers. And also do not forget to follow me on TikTok at Lylers. Lylers on TikTok. Guys, please subscribe to that YouTube channel because I'm telling y'all, 2 blog videos are coming up. One of them is coming up sooner than expected. Dun dun dun. So yeah, next week we are going to be talking about the rest of the remaining results for No Mercy, my little theories like how I mentioned with Bash in Berlin. And then also we're going to be reviewing Beetlejuice. I'm going to do like a comparison to see if this movie is much better than the original movie because I finally watched the first movie. And it was like meh, but we'll see because this one is going to be more modernized. And then, not only that, we're also going to be updating you with whatever you miss on this coming week's pop culture moments. Also, I cannot believe we are in the first day of freaking September, sweet Jesus. I know some of you guys are singing that 1 September song, but me, I'm just singing Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day. But yeah, I can officially say we can start celebrating spooky season. I mean, Halloween is in more than a month, but at the same time, I'm like, if people celebrate Christmas literally at the beginning of November, it's okay for us to celebrate spooky season. So yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm hoping it's gonna be colder this year compared to last year because it was hot, but we'll see. But anywho, I hope you guys did enjoy this week's episode. Enjoy Labor Day tomorrow if you guys are off. I am. No plans though. I'm probably going to be getting my beauty sleep, especially with Cosmo. She's been sleeping all day today. So let's hope she stays with that attitude tomorrow. But anywho, I will talk to you guys on the next one.